The Bollywood drug bust probe has exploded, and how? Today, the Narcotics Control Bureau questioned actor Ananya Panday over her alleged chats with Aryan Khan. She has been called again at 11 a.m. for a second round of questioning. The narcotics agents even reached Shah Rukh Khan's home Mannat, seeking details of all the electronic devices that his son Aryan had been using. It's clear that the NCB is not done with this Bollywood drug investigation just yet. A Mumbai bureau with our lead story tonight.
Ananya Panday, star on the rise and Bollywood actor Chunky Panday's daughter, at the Narcotics Bureau office in Mumbai's Ballad estate. Ananya has been questioned for her alleged links with Shah Rukh Khan's son Aryan, who is currently in Arthur Road jail. NCB claims it has WhatsApp chats of Ananya Panday and Aryan Khan, where the two are discussing drugs and the cruise party that was busted. Earlier in the day, a team of NCB officials reached Ananya's residence in Mumbai's Khar West and seized her mobile phone, laptop and other electronic devices for a forensic test.
देखिए, ये इन्वेस्टिगेशन है। इन्वेस्टिगेशन में क्वेश्चनिंग के लिए लोगों को बुलाया जाता है। इसका ये मतलब नहीं कि वो कल्प्रिट हैं या वो ही इन्वॉल्वमेंट हैं। क्वेश्चनिंग में विटनेसेस को भी बुलाया जाता है, क्वेश्चनिंग में सस्पेक्ट्स को भी बुलाया जाता है।
We have given our summons and now we will follow the procedure.
India Today has accessed the Narcotic Bureau's line of questioning for Ananya Panday. The agency wants to know if Ananya has seen Aryan Khan consuming drugs. Who did Aryan procure drugs from? Did the actress consume any drugs with Shah Rukh Khan's son? Does she know for how long has Aryan Khan been consuming drugs? What kind of drugs was Aryan taking? What kind of drugs has she taken, if any? Who are the drug suppliers? And if she remembers the exact dates of the occasions that drugs were allegedly consumed. Not just Ananya Panday, NCB officials also paid a visit to Shah Rukh Khan's house, Mannat. They gave a notice seeking all of Aryan Khan's electronic devices and left with some documents. NCB officers met Shah Rukh Khan, who told them that he hopes his son will be out of jail soon. Meanwhile, Aryan Khan's judicial custody has been extended till 30th October, and his bail plea in the Bombay High Court will only be heard on 29th October.
The superstar drug bust probe is just getting bigger. NCB sources have told India Today that two more Bollywood actors are under scanner. Names of these Bollywood actors have come to light from Aryan Khan's WhatsApp chats. It is clear that the agency is not just done with the drug probe yet. With camera person Swaraj, this is Divyesh Singh in Mumbai for India Today.
For perspective on the NCB's line of questioning, the response from these Bollywood stars, if you can even call them that, because they're just about making their way in their lives and in their careers, and here they are dealing with this NCB charge now against them. I'm joined on this broadcast. I want to welcome first Sahil Joshi. He leads our reporting team in Mumbai. Tushar Joshi joins us. Tushar is our Entertainment Bureau Chief. We have with us on this broadcast Sanjay Hegde, Senior Advocate at the Supreme Court. Shaina NC joins us from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Umakant Mishra is a former Assistant Director at the Narcotics Control Bureau. Nasir Abdullah is with us, as also Sushil Wadhwa, who is a friend of SRK's family. So I want to go across to Sahil first on the NCB probe today. Why they went out and questioned Ananya Panday, what they've got from her in terms of the answers that she's given, what they're making of the answers that Ananya has been given, and what do they hope to get when they go again and summon her at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Sahil.
Well, Rahul, Ananya Panday was called because they found some chats of Aryan Khan with Ananya Panday, is what NCB sources are telling us. I'm mentioning NCB sources because NCB has not gone on record yet about those particular chats with Ananya Panday. Though they have mentioned it in the court, they haven't mentioned any particular name with respect to that. But today the Deputy Director General Narcotics Control Bureau did confirm that they had raided Ananya Panday's house, and they have taken into possession her mobile phones, electronic devices. And of course, as the NCB has been probing since last 1 year, that whenever they take the electronic devices, the first thing what they do is to take a dump and then go through the chats and whatever data they download from those electronic devices. Now, what has happened with Ananya Panday, and even earlier cases as well, is that the WhatsApp chats, because time and again it has been said that the WhatsApp chats are not to be taken as an evidence unless it is corroborated with some firm evidence which the Narcotics Control Bureau can find during the investigation. So of course, whatever is mentioned in the chat, they have said that Aryan Khan has consumed the drugs, Aryan Khan has purchased the drugs, Aryan Khan was part of a big supply chain, he's part of the conspiracy. So of course, whoever he has chatted with, and Narcotics Bureau suspects, Control Bureau suspects that those chats belong to some kind of buying and selling of the narcotic substances. They are going to call them, and that is why Ananya Panday was also called. The questions were quite usual, whether Aryan Khan was consuming drugs, whether she herself was consuming drugs. And of course, it's a long list of questions which could not be finished in 2 hours time, because she was called at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. She could finally reach by 4. So obviously after 6 there was no interrogation. So she has been called again at 11 a.m. in the morning. Now, right now, she is not a suspect. We cannot call her a suspect. She is not an accused. She can be treated as a witness as well if she gives them whatever they wanted. Please understand, even last time, a lot of Bollywood celebrities were called for questioning because their chats were found in somebody's mobile phone, and the keywords of the narcotics was found in those chats. That's why they were called for questioning, but they were not arrested. They were treated as a witness, and then the case continued. The charge sheet is yet to be filed. Since last 1 year, the charge sheet has not been filed in that case. But here also, what we can see is that right now she has been treated as somebody who has been found chatting with Aryan Khan, and that's why she's being questioned.
Okay.
If they suspect that she's also part of that, the same kind of a racket, then the further action might be taken.
Tushar Joshi, you're tracking reactions in Bollywood. You're also speaking to people in and around the Shah Rukh Khan family. Can you give us a sense of what you're picking up? The fact that first there was Aryan Khan who was arrested, now Ananya Panday. There are 2 more actors who are apparently on an NCB list. Nobody knows their names for sure, but various names swirling, including many friends of Aryan Khan. Bollywood must be completely spooked.
Yes, Rahul. In fact, Bollywood is perplexed. They are unable to, they are scratching their brains and they're unable to fathom this point that they have already labeled and they're treating Ananya like she's a convict. At this point in time, the way she has been called by NCB, the line of questioning that sources close to NCB have shared with us, despite the fact that there is no proof with her, that despite the fact that there is no proof on any of these Bollywood kids, Bollywood is perplexed at what is this line of questioning. A lot of senior actors, a lot of producers, a lot of actors who have kids in the industry are worried. Today it's Shah Rukh Khan, Chunky Panday. Tomorrow it could be our kid, it could be our daughter. Understand one thing is that next year has around 3 to 4 big celebrity kids being launched in the industry, right? The industry is just coming out of a lull. It's just coming out of a lockdown. Doors are opening and people are thinking that this could be a positive spin. In the middle of all of this, these Bollywood kids being targeted, these Bollywood kids being questioned. And I was talking to somebody close to Chunky Panday in the afternoon. They said that Chunky is very open to cooperate. He's ready to even go and give them whatever information that they want. There is nothing to hide. Ananya was telling her friends that she is going through her day as regular as she would. She was having meetings in the morning. She has put her endorsement and shootings on hold, clearly because like Sahil said that, she is going to be asked, she's going to be summoned again. So today it's Ananya. A lot of people in the industry are actually worried. A lot of actors have gone off WhatsApp, are also asking each other, should we uninstall WhatsApp? Should we uninstall these chat rooms? Because any word, any conversation, even a regular conversation like, hey, what's up, how are you, is being looked into now.
No, and especially given the fact that one of the lawyers for the government in court before the judge, when he was talking about reasons why bail should be denied, said, one of the messages said, let's have a blast. And that's something, and I'm not making this up, that's something that was taken as being a very serious point in this whole case. So I don't know what they're making of these WhatsApp messages and how these young people are speaking to each other. Thanks Tushar and Sahil for that update. I want to go across to Sanjay Hegde, because there is one line of thought which says that if Ananya Panday's messages have appeared in Aryan Khan's phone, and that there are chats which the NCB says are about consuming drugs, not just in small quantities but in large quantities. Therefore, she is fair game and a bona fide part of this probe. There are others who think this is a publicity-seeking fishing expedition. Which argument do you think has greater merit, Sanjay?
Well, I would not make a relative judgment, but look at this. Those WhatsApp chats were with the agency from at least October the 2nd when they seized the phone. This matter has been going on in the courts. There has been a certain amount of blowback in the media, on social media. Right now, it does appear to me that now the NCB has dug its heels and said, look, we are going to make this case about much more than 6 grams of charas held by Aryan Khan's friend. We are going to prove that Aryan Khan was a consumer. Not only was he a consumer, he was a supplier to X, Y, and Z. And we are throwing the book, the kitchen sink, and everything after him. So it does appear to me that what started off as a relatively small matter or something that could have been sorted out is you now have the agency going for the kill. The question is it necessary? And there is a larger question. You spoke about people being afraid. Is this what you want to do to your biggest industry, which brings you your soft power? There have been times in India before. I do remember during the emergency how the income tax department went after the stars. In fact, Kishore Kumar actually sang a song which went, "Piche pad gaya income taxam, bhag gaya Kishore Kumaram." So all these things we've seen before. We've seen how the Makati, in the Makati era, stars were accused of being communists. Today there is one trope. The Bollywood is full of people who consume drugs, who party hard, and who can be made a super moral example of any time that we choose to. At some point of time, somebody needs to tell them, leave them kids alone.
You're
all in all, it's just
leave
another
these
brick
kids
in the
alone. Rahul Navrekar. Now the problem is that, at this moment, you don't know the strength of the evidence, neither do I. What we know is that there are some WhatsApp messages, including one which says, let's have a blast. And that's something the NCB is taking very seriously. And in the previous case, which we do know, the case of Rhea Chakravarti, a year has passed, no charge sheet has been filed. And when we ask people in the NCB, where us case ka kya hua, they don't have a clear answer. When is that charge sheet coming? Are they still pressing ahead with the case? Have they dropped the case? Will they bury the people against whom these charges were leveled? Or will they push ahead? There is no clarity. And that raises the question that, is this a fishing expedition? Is it that the NCB went in, charges were leveled against them, now they've said we'll do what it takes, but we'll find something against these kids?
Well, Rahul, to start with, let me tell you, I was just hearing the gentleman talking about how film stars and the fraternity is being targeted. Well, I didn't know that the laws in this country are applicable class-centric, that if you belong to a film fraternity, you should not be charged with offences related to narcotics, you should be treated with given a special treatment. I thought the constitution of this country deals with equality before the law and equal protection of the law. So I thought that was the rule of the law, but be that as it may, having said that, I'm coming to the next point that you've made. See, the NCB has the jurisdiction to conduct investigation. If they get information pertaining to pertaining to narcotics being consumed or peddled, they definitely have the jurisdiction to take action, which they have done. They have filed an FIR. They have produced the accused before the court. The court, in its wisdom, the judiciary in its wisdom, has granted custody, not for their whims and fancy, but there's a prima facie case that has been made out, and based on that, the judiciary has granted custody. So I don't think there is anything out of place in this case. If at all we are talking about the limelight on this case, I don't think NCB is to be blamed for that. You, me and media is talking about this case every evening. NCP does not come to the media and say, discuss this matter for us. There are dime a dozen cases which get registered pertaining to narcotics every day.
Come on, that's too facile an argument, I'm sorry.
None of them.
You go and raid a cricket star or a Bollywood star or Shah Rukh Khan's son and you think that it's not going to make headlines. I mean, that's not a fair assessment. I'm asking you a direct question. It's been 1 year in the charges that were leveled against Riya Chakravarti. Where is the charge sheet?
For that?
Sir, where is the charge sheet? Okay, let's purely go by the NCB's ability to produce a charge sheet in the previous case that they created such a shindig about. Where is the charge sheet in that case? Where are the charges? Is Riya guilty? Is she innocent?
Well, Rahul,
yes.
Out of my experience of being an officer of the court, a practicing lawyer, let me tell you, this is not the first occasion where a charge sheet hasn't been filed for a year. There have been several occasions and several matters where the prosecution has taken a long time to file charge sheet, not because they don't want to or not because they are not interested in it, but to build a super strong and watertight case. Yes, the law prescribes that the charge sheet has to be filed within 90 days, but that provision can, you can take leave of the court and file a delayed charge sheet. There's nothing against the law to do that. So having said that, I don't think this is an exceptional case which you've pointed out. This is a matter of practice which has happened in several cases.
So Nasir Abdullah, the problem with this whole Bollywood is being victimized narrative is the point that Rahul Navrekar makes, that if there is a raid, some narcotic substances are found, what do you want? You want NCB not to question them, not to investigate, not to probe and call other witnesses or accused in just because he happens to be the son of Shah Rukh Khan and she happens to be the daughter of Chunky Panday. Why is Bollywood expecting special privileges whereas they don't have the others, don't have the ability to hire the likes of Amit Desai or Satish Manishinde and don't get their applications for bail heard as fast as these Bollywood stars are being able to? Nasir Abdullah.
Yeah, before I answer that, I have to admit that I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand all the sections and what has to be done, what has to be done. I always enjoy Mr. Hegde's outlook of the whole thing and his whatever knowledge that he has. It makes a lot of the sense to me, and I've always liked him, and I still like him for what he has said. Here is the deal. This is what I feel. I feel disappointed at the way this thing has gone. I feel. On a personal note, I think there was a better way, I'm sure, because what is happening now is you're exposing these little fish, literally the tadpoles in the business. They're consuming. It's an entertainment drug. Everybody knows it. Like alcohol, it is a stronger version, like hashish and then the charas and the ganja. So you by making a big deal out of all this huge mushroom that they have made, the big fish, and this big fish are the octopuses with the 8 of the tentacles, they will disappear. So the way they are doing it is actually putting the cart before the horse in a way to get brownie points, maybe. I do not know what is going on here, but I'm disappointed. There are better ways. They are naming and shaming and also parading the people, kind of naked, and I don't like it. I would not have liked it for anybody's son. Amitabh Bachchan, Om Puri, Amrish Puri, Akshay Kumar, Ajay Devgan, anybody, I wouldn't like that to happen. And then they seem to be accusing Shah Rukh Khan's son of being involved in a drug cartel. For God's sake, are we on Mars? Does he need to do this? Any sane guy, even an insane guy, will not accept that. So they're trying to throw the book at him, as Mr. Hegde said. I find it very, very disappointing. I find it also depressing, frankly, and it's embarrassing somewhere, in my opinion.
Umakant Mishra, I want to quote to you what the Bombay High Court said.
If he had raped somebody,
Go on.
If it was rape or murder, or something to do with, the terrorism, he was involved with some, handling bombs and, transferring RDX. This is an entertainment drug, man. Everybody wants to try it. So many people try it. And the last thing, and I'm very upset about this, and it's been happening for over a year since the Sushant Singh demise. I will not say murder, because there's been a lot of rubbish thrown around. There were these strange people, these strange women and men who appeared from nowhere and seemed to know everything. There's a lot of rubbish. To this date, we don't know. There was a story about the money having been stolen by Ria. She became a Vishkanya. Not true. There was no money. So much rubbish was thrown. And where are we? Zero. Ye khoda pahad nikli chiti. You know, this is like much ado about nothing.
Okay, so now Umakant Mishra, I want to quote to you what the Bombay High Court said in the Riya Chakrabarti bail judgment case on the 7th of October last year. Arresting officers must keep in mind the benevolent provisions of the NDPS Act under which Aryan's been arrested and its reformative approach before making arrests. Reformative approach of the Narcotics, Drugs, Substances Act, benevolent provisions, and this must be kept in mind. So it just seems that all of that is out of the window. The NCB, which you've been a key part of in the past, hasn't told us what happened in the previous case. Are they going to press ahead with charges against Riya Chakrabarti? Are they going to let her go? Will they give her a clean sheet? Do they think she's guilty? If she's guilty, where's the charge sheet?
Exactly.
Yeah, Rahul, can I speak?
Yes, sir, please. Mr. Umakant Mishra.
Okay. Rahul, the three things are involved here. One is the rule of law, and the other is equality before the law. And the third thing is proportionality. We all are here in tension or in some kind of a denial when both the parties are concerned. Rule of law must prevail. It is both for the citizens and both for the enforcement agencies. Equality before law should be there, not rich or poor, or small or big, or urban or rural. Equality before law principle should be there. Proportionality is also a very, very important concept, both when we discuss law or when we discuss law outside it. Proportionality, when I mean why we are here debating this issue, is that most of the sections think that the proportionality is lost. Because you see that yes, there is only 6 grams of seizure, but the noise that is made is equal to 3,000 kilos of seizure made in Mundra port.
Much more actually, sir. No, it's not comparable. The officers who were involved in the 3,000 kilograms bus.
I'm not comparing.
Haven't you compared? You're saying that the noise is equal. I'm saying no, sir, it's not. The purpose with which this case is being probed is not comparable with that case, sir.
Rahul,
that case should be probed with far greater intensity, Mr. Mishra.
Rahul, can I speak?
Yes. Please, sir, please.
I'm not comparing them. I am telling that this imbalance between the facts and circumstances of the case and the attention and the investigation it raises brings either a satisfaction or dissatisfaction. I'm not comparing both the two. So when we see proportionality, the concept of proportionality, now it comes as far as the enforcement of law is concerned, a right to fair investigation. So that investigation, fair investigation, will be in the perimeter of the law, whatever are in the provisions. So whether it hurts certain sentiments or it leaves something, say, unattainable, it is something which cannot be explained at this stage. I am not justifying NCB's action, but yes, certain things should have been taken care of, and the sense of proportionality must be kept.
You know, I'm glad that you say that as a former NCB officer.
Not filing charges.
Yes, go on, complete what you're saying. I'm glad you're talking about proportionality because that's important. Go on, complete your point about Riya Chakrabarti's charge sheet.
Yes. So why it is important is everywhere when we deal with a case, every case stands on its own facts and circumstances. So where this right to fair investigation also emerges from that. I agree with the Honorable High Court's view that it should be with a reformative process. You see, that reformative process for consumption is something else, something different than when people deal with drugs for trafficking. The law has softer approach for consumption. So when the prime target is consumption, every other section should be geared to that. So that is how the sensibility and the proportionality will come.
Yeah, but now we're lacking both. We're lacking proportionality
warrant,
and we're lacking some kind of sensibility around the whole idea of
I would not like to comment on that
reformation.
because I don't have the full facts.
Okay, sure. But in the midst of all of this, after nearly 20 days, Shah Rukh Khan met his son Aryan today. The emotional reunion took place at the Arthur Road jail, where Aryan has been lodged since the 8th of October. This was Shah Rukh's first meeting with Aryan since his arrest in the cruise drug bust. Shah Rukh Khan and Aryan's meeting lasted for about 15 minutes. The superstar reached the Mumbai jail early morning, which was hours after the Maharashtra government permitted physical meetings in person.
An anguished father, desperate to meet his son, even if for just a few minutes. The Shah Rukh Khan outside Arthur Road jail wasn't a superstar, but a worried dad meeting his son after 3 full weeks. Refusing to speak on his son's arrest, Shah Rukh was seen swiftly going into the jail and then emerging, only briefly acknowledging well-wishers and fans at the jail. Shah Rukh Khan was allowed to visit his son Aryan Khan for 18 minutes at the inmate meeting section of the Arthur Road jail. Shah Rukh and Aryan were separated by a glass panel and spoke through an intercom, as is the norm for all inmates. Jail officials were also present during the meeting. According to the jail manual, during meetings, relatives and inmates can see each other but cannot physically touch. Shah Rukh tried to help his son, who's reportedly struggling with prison food. Shah Rukh reportedly asked jail officials if he can provide food from Mannat for Aryan, to which the jail staff informed him they would need permission from the court. This was Shah Rukh's first public appearance, his first outing from Mannat since October the 2nd, and his first meeting with Aryan since the beginning of the entire drug bust saga. While the father-son duo have spoken over the phone and even done video calls, Shah Rukh and Gauri haven't had a chance to meet Aryan before this. Shah Rukh Khan hasn't offered any comments so far on his son's arrest in the drug case, but has stood rock solid behind Aryan. The moment in-person visits were allowed at the Arthur Road jail, Shah Rukh visited his son, even if it meant seeing him for only a few minutes. Mannat will be ringing with prayers that Aryan returns home before Diwali. With Mustafa Sheikh in Mumbai, Bureau Report, India Today.
Sushil Wadhwa is with us. He knows the family well. Mr. Wadhwa, you know, what are you picking up from the Shah Rukh Khan ecosystem, from people you know in Mumbai, in Bollywood, about the kind of ripple effect this case and the manner in which it's playing itself out is having in Bollywood and amongst those who are connected?
Thank you, Rahul, for having me on the show. So my first take is that, you know, the NCB is probably doing its job a bit over-enthusiastically. If this was not Aryan Khan, if this was anybody else who was not a star son, would he also be denied bail, or would he already be on bail at home by now? I just also want to clarify that I am a well-wisher of Shah Rukh Khan and family. I work with him in terms of my business, for my entertainment business. I'm not close family friends as is being told out, but as a concerned business associate, as a friend, I definitely feel that while NCB is trying to follow the rule book, many of the questions which I've been noticing that are being asked, whether it was questioning of Ananya Panday, she's being asked, has she seen Aryan consume drugs? How many times does he consume? What does he consume? How many years? My question is, what is going to be achieved by these, interrogations? I mean, either you have tested Aryan Khan on the night he was taken into custody, that whether was he having any drugs in his system, or you have a report that says that he was having drugs in possession. As far as I know, none of that is out. And I think it's extremely unfair for anybody, leave alone Aryan Khan, for anybody to be kept in custody without any clear evidence. If somebody is willing to cooperate with the law, you can take his passport, you can take a surety deposit, you can let the guy go home. We are not dealing with hardened criminals here. You're dealing with somebody coming from a good family, somebody coming from, Bollywood superstars family, and they deserve to have a chance. I've always maintained that if he was found with drugs, he should be sent to a rehab center instead of to a jail, where he's been put amidst all hardened criminals, and you're pushing him further into the darker side.
Rahul Navrekar, respond to the points that Sushil Vadhwa makes, that let's assume for a moment what the NCB is saying is true, that he is an addict. The place for him to be as a first-time offender is a rehab center. You send him into jail, you scar him for life, you potentially put him in the midst of all these under trials, and he comes off the worse for it. So this whole idea that the NDPS Act must be reformatory, must look at benevolent provisions, all that's completely out of the window.
Today, countries like US,
let me tell you, in the current situation,
Rahul Navrekar.
Yeah, so let me tell you, of course, my heart goes out to the family. Of course, the parents must be absolutely devastated. There's no doubt about that. And it's unfortunate. But like I told you, we are living in a democracy. We are living in a country which has a solid constitution, which prescribes equality before the law, equal protection of the law. Just because you come from an affluent family, or just because you belong to a superstar, you're a child of a superstar, unfortunately, you are not entitled to any exceptional privilege which others don't enjoy. And so if you've been booked for an offense, and if the law prescribes a trial, and if the judiciary in its wisdom has granted custody, I don't know whom to fault, whom to blame for this.
Let Sanjay Hegde come in on this, because this is the point he wanted to respond to, that the issue that Rahul Navrekar raises is an issue about Bollywood stars claiming victimization. If you've been picked up in a raid, if narcotics were found, if WhatsApp messages suggest that you've been buying drugs, the NCB alleges peddling drugs, then why should Bollywood stars not be questioned, is the question that Rahul Navrekar asks. Sanjay Hegde.
Nobody is saying Bollywood stars should not be questioned. The question is, how are you treating them? The first point is that the judiciary has already spoken. The judiciary has said in Riya Chakravarti's case that, look, you don't have to arrest just because you have the powers of arrest. You have to take into account that the law itself prescribes rehabilitation.
No, but
Mr. Narvekar, I did not interrupt you.
Go on, Sanjay.
Okay. Yes. So the line is clear. The judiciary has already made a prescription. But yes, if the NCB is run by people who think that publicity is what runs the agency, that there can be a sense of disproportion, that we can go after somebody whose friend happens to have 6 grams of charas on him, and therefore we can attribute that to conscious possession to the man's friends who is a superstar's son. We can get the superstar's son, then thereafter we can create a whole story based on whoever he WhatsApp chatted with, including other people who are also children of superstars. Ultimately, what are you doing to one of India's foremost industries? Tomorrow, if you had an industrialist son in the same position, or a media man's son in the same position, would you have treated him like that? I really doubt it.
Okay, Rahul Navrekar wants to come in and respond to what you're saying. Go ahead, Rahul.
Right now, this is attention seeking.
Well, it's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate to hear these arguments which are not at all in the spirit of, it's so unfortunate to hear these arguments which are not at all in the spirit of the constitutional provisions that secures our democracy. What do you expect? If a superstar's son has been booked for an offense, he should be checked into the Taj Mahal hotel and not in the prison? Is there any special such provision? You have a problem with the way he's been treated. How is he being treated wrongly? If you think he deserves to be given home food, if you think he needs to be given other privileges, approach the court and make an application. If the court in its wisdom feels that it can be entertained, they will entertain. But why are you blaming the investigating agencies? Has the investigation agencies done anything which is beyond the scope of law? Have they put him in prison without the approval of the judiciary? Are they not giving, is the prison authority not giving him home food because they have a score to settle with him? They're simply following the prison manual. Why are you blaming them? If you have a problem with the system, go to the judiciary, point it out. I mean, this is ridiculous. Arguments like this only create a further divide in the society. You are going on record to say that a person who has the privileges should be extended privileges in prison as well. And a person who comes from an underprivileged background should be treated differently. I am sorry. This is not a kangaroo democracy. This is a solid democracy which is backed by a solid constitution, and therefore everyone will be treated equally in this country, whether he is the Prime Minister of this country or he is any other.
I'm out of time. Final comments. Rahul Navrekar says don't seek special privileges.
Just a quick one. Just a quick one. Whether it is Shah Rukh Khan's son or anybody else's son, the law has already been settled. If it's a small quantity and rehabilitation is possible, why do you need to arrest? That is the question. Just because you have the power, you have disproportionately acted.
Rahul, 10 seconds, I'm out of time. Disproportionate action, even the NCB officer spoke of it.
Offences pertaining to narcotics require an approach of zero tolerance.
No, sir.
It is because of these
words.
The
law itself.
Offense,
sir, no,
drugs,
that's not correct.
Small quantity,
Just the
20 grams.
Sir, the
10
Narcotics
grams.
Act.
This is what zero tolerance.
That's not correct. It doesn't talk of zero tolerance. You talk of zero tolerance in cases like terrorism. In the case of acts like NDPS, it talks of a reformative approach. Mr. Mishra, it doesn't talk of zero tolerance. The BJP lawyer has it all wrong.
Rahul, I will make a comment.
The dealer, that's fine.
Yes,
Rahul, I will make a comment.
Go on, Mr. Mishra.
Yeah, the only thing I will ask myself, which nobody has asked, and we are talking about a reformative process, just kindly remember that reformative process is available and that has to be voluntarily asked under section 64A. Nobody has advised so far to avail that facility. I wonder why. It is available there. If it would have been asked and the department would have refused that facility, then I think it would have been very disproportionate. But has anybody asked for that provision so far? I don't know why it's so. Why nobody is availing that reformative? It can be availed on two counts, one by the court and the other by the department whenever they are caught. So when they are in the custody of the department, if somebody goes and volunteers, yes, I want to avail this facility, why nobody has asked it so far?
Because that would mean accepting that Shah Rukh's son was an addict and he wants to reform. I think that's what Amit Desai, Satish Shinde are challenging in court. We will allow that defense.
Yeah, that's what everybody, you see, that's what everybody.
Yes.
That is what everybody is trying to provide, because he was consuming, so keeping him in jail is very disproportionate. I agree. But at the same time, I raise this question, why nobody is availing this correctional facility available in the law? Okay. Why nobody is advising all the people involved this
How
facility?
many times has the department actually given anybody that? Mr. Mishra, can you answer that? Has the department ever told anybody who is a consumer that, look, if you opt for rehabilitation, we will let you off immediately? The department simply arrests, sends them before the judge and processes them. Right now, what your department is doing is indefensible.
Sushil Vadva, final words. You have your hand up. Just 10 seconds. Wrap up, please, quickly.
Yes, I think in all likelihood, while the NCB is doing its job, and like Rahulji said, that there should be no exceptions and no privileges granted to anybody, I feel that is absolutely valid. At the same time, there should be no excessive enforcement of the rules for somebody who is supposedly famous either.
Nasir, 10 seconds. Nasir Abdullah, 10 seconds.
Yeah, law should be followed in its spirit.
Look,
yeah.
They are throwing the book at him. They are
treating
treating him like a Deshdrohi, like some big time criminal. It's very unfair in my opinion. They could let him off with a stern warning. They could do their investigations, but they are spiraling this into a tornado. They're making it into a kind of a tsunami, and
Okay, so we're trying to bring out different sides. On this, everyone has very firm, polarized opinions. You've heard from Sanjay Hegde, from Rahul Navrikar, Umakant Mishra, Nasir Abdullah and Sushil Wadhwa. We'll leave it to you to decide who you think had the most compelling argument on the debate tonight.